Hi there, it's Lara here with Witchy Wednesday for the week of December 13th to 20th, 2017. There is a lot happening over the next couple of weeks. And so I'm going to try my best here to talk about sort of the important things in terms of the astrology, and as always to connect that to the card that I pulled for us this week from the Rider-Waite tarot. And it's really never any surprise at how intertwined things are, right? I pull the card, randomly from the deck, and it always connects to what's going on and to the energy that's surrounding us. So before I get to explaining all that and to the reading, I just want to remind you that if you'd like to get a personal reading with me, or if you want to order one as a gift, you can, if you order before or by December 18th, then I will have it to you by Christmas. And so, if you're interested in that, then just follow the links below, and you'll get to the services page of my site to find out more. I think I'll leave that at that, and you already know there's going to be some changes coming in the new year, so look for that coming up. But because I have a lot to say, I'm going to get right to the reading, and I've got notes written here, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. I didn't want to forget anything. So I'll show you the card that came up for us this week from the Rider-Waite Smith deck, and it is the Judgment card reversed. So, in some ways, this is a little bit similar to the card we saw last week, the Hanged Man, just in the sense that the Judgment card reverse is telling us to pause, to take a step back from the busyness that's going on around us right now for some self-reflection. And so, a little bit similar to the message last week in that regard. But the Judgment card reversed is talking about, it's asking us to think about what lessons have been learned, to date, kind of thing. Maybe throughout the past year, what lessons have we learned, and have we learned our lessons? Are we exercising, good, sound judgment or not? And the idea is not to sort of get stuck in, the self-doubt and the self-criticism and the woulda, shoulda, coulda kind of mindset. It's more to, it's not to marinate in all of that. It's to think about it, think about lessons learned, and how we can use that to move forward and start a new chapter. How we can take what we've learned over the past year and use it to our advantage. Not how we can beat ourselves up for the mistakes that we've made, or not how we can marinate in the regrets that we have, or anything like that. That's not the kind of self-reflection that we're talking about here. So, it's pretty common at this time of year anyway, because we're moving into a new year on the traditional calendar. Astrologically speaking, the new year kind of doesn't really start until spring, but on our calendar, the new year begins in a few weeks' time, and so now's the time of year when we start to reflect on, what's happened over this past year and how we want things to look different in the coming year. And so this is the perfect card to turn up for us right now. And there are some major shifts happening, astrologically speaking, over the next couple of weeks. So sort of end of this week, beginning of next week in particular. And this all lines up with this notion of, okay, it's time to take a look at where we've been and what we've learned and where we're going. So a few things happening. On December 17th or 18th, depending on where you live, east or west kind of thing, There is a new moon happening in the sign of Sagittarius. And this is happening right on this point that we call the galactic center in astrology. And without getting too complicated, and I am by no means an expert on the galactic center, there's not a lot of, this is just something that's a lot of astrologers are beginning to talk more and more about. But, it's kind of considered the birthplace of the universe. And really, all things flow from the galactic center and back into the galactic center, sort of thing. And so it's a pretty powerful point in the sky. And so this new moon is happening there, and it's also happening right beside, or what we use the word conjunct, the planet Saturn. And Saturn is about structure and rules and responsibilities and teaching us our lessons. And have we learned our lessons? It's about sort of the tried and true methods and doing things the hard way, and so all of this stuff happening right at the same point in the sky really points to, a fairly major shift that's happening. And so along with all of this, the sun will be shifting into Capricorn around the 21st, which is the solstice as well. And Saturn, that you just heard me mention, is also shifting signs into Capricorn right around that same time. And so this is sort of a finishing up of, again, have you learned the lessons, right? So Saturn has been in Sagittarius for the last 2.5 years. And wherever that is in your specific birth chart is the area of your life that Saturn has been, asking you to learn these lessons. And, if you ever get a personal natal chart reading with me, which I'm going to start offering come the new year, then this will make a lot more sense to you then. But so whatever area of life you have been learning some pretty serious, difficult lessons in, Saturn is about to shift out of that area and move into a new area. And so it's sort of that final push to, clean things up, to really review, have we learned what we needed to learn? And I'll just, for me personally, just to sort of explain to you how this works, Saturn has been going through my 4th house in my birth chart. And the 4th house is all about your family of origin, your home, your foundations, those kinds of things. And so, there have been a lot of hard lessons to be learned in that regard for me. And, I am feeling that sort of last final stages of Saturn in this area of my chart saying, okay, what have you learned? How are you going to use this to move forward and in a productive way and put this behind you? So that's the kind of thing that we're being asked to do here. And, so I think it's really important. It's a difficult time of year to pause and reflect, because there's so much busyness going on for most of us at this time of year. And just, a lot of emotional baggage is stirred up and that kind of thing to begin with. But it's really important that we do take a little time to pause and just sort of consider where we've been, how far we've come, have we exercised good judgment, how could we do better moving forward, what lessons have we learned, and how are we going to use those in the future, and not to get stuck. It's really important not to get stuck in this pattern, of thinking like woulda, shoulda, coulda, or, letting the past drag us down or keep us from moving forward, that kind of thing. And the Judgment card reversed is also saying to us, this is a time to make your own decisions. It's not time for being wishy-washy. And it's also reminding us that we have control over how we react to any situation, which is really important to remember at this time of year when, emotions can run high. There can be lots of interesting family dynamics or just personal issues that come up for us, and relationship dynamics, that kind of thing. And so it's important to remember that we may not be able to control external circumstances. We certainly can't control other people and their behaviors, but we can always control how we react to that. And so the Judgment card reversed here is reminding us of that as well. So next week, I'll talk a little bit more about all this, but I've sort of introduced this whole idea that we're moving into a major change and a major shift. And if you have any questions or comments, please, comment below on YouTube, or if you're watching this, if you got the link to this via Facebook, then comment, or shoot me a Facebook message or an email if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Okay, so take care, hang in there, pause, reflect on what lessons you have learned over the course of this year, and how those have ultimately made you a stronger, better, more resilient person. And if you're feeling like that hasn't been the case, and maybe you haven't exercised good judgment, there is always the opportunity to begin anew, right? Always. It's never too late. So thanks for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you commenting, liking, subscribing to the YouTube channel, sharing. All of that is really helpful. And I really do appreciate it. So take care, everybody, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.